Today, we're diving into one of the most disturbing cases of recent years, the story of a 27-year-old woman whose tragic fate shocked all of Europe. She was chasing a dream on a beautiful Greek island, a 27-year-old woman full of life, love, and ambition. But in a single night, that dream twisted into a nightmare. She vanished into the darkness, her last messages sounding desperate, her phone suddenly silenced. For days, no one knew where she was. And when the truth finally surfaced, it was far more horrifying than anyone could have imagined. This is not just another vacation gone wrong. This is the chilling murder of Anastasia Patricia Rubinska, a story of deception, violence, and a desperate hunt for justice. Before we dive deeper into this chilling case, if you love true crime stories that reveal the darkest corners of human nature, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Anastasia was born in 1996 in Wrocław, Poland. Friends described her as vibrant, ambitious, and full of dreams. She wasn't just another young woman working her way through life. She wanted more. She dreamed of modeling, of traveling the world, of breaking away from the ordinary. To fund her ambitions, she threw herself into hospitality jobs. She worked in restaurants, bars, and hotels, always saving money and chasing opportunities that allowed her to travel. To her, every shift wasn't just work. It was a stepping stone toward her dreams. And she wasn't alone in this journey. She had been in a long-term relationship with her boyfriend, Michal. For over a decade, they had been inseparable, partners in life and in adventure. Together, they decided to spend the summer of 2023 on the island of Kos, Greece, working seasonal jobs in its booming tourist industry. It sounded perfect. Work hard, make money, explore paradise. By May 2023, Anastasia was waitressing at a luxury 5-star hotel in the town of Marmari. Michal worked nearby. Their plan was simple: earn good money for the summer, save up, and then move on to the next chapter of their lives. But Anastasia's family back home in Poland, especially her brother Adrian, remained the anchor in her life. She called often, updating them on everything: the long workdays, the beautiful sunsets, and the carefree life of tourists around her. Her Instagram painted the picture of a young woman who was truly happy: sunsets, beaches, laughter, and love. On the surface, Anastasia was living her best life. But in June 2023, everything would take a horrifying turn. It was June 12, 2023. The island of Kos was buzzing with tourists. The streets of Marmari glowed with energy, cafes filled with laughter, clubs pulsing with music, and bars crowded with both locals and travelers. For Anastasia, it was a day off work. She decided to relax, unwind, and enjoy the festive atmosphere. By 8 p.m., CCTV cameras captured her at a local cafe. She wore a pink floral dress, with blue sunglasses perched on her head, and carried a silver backpack. She looked carefree, even playful. But as the evening went on, Anastasia started to feel uneasy. She had been drinking, perhaps more than she planned, and soon she called Michal at his hotel shift. Her voice was shaky. She admitted she was drunk and felt uncomfortable at the party. She told him she was trying to arrange a ride on a motorbike to meet him. Minutes later, she texted him again. The first message said she felt uncomfortable. The second said she was fine. But detectives would later question whether Anastasia had even sent that second text herself. When Michal went to meet her at the spot she had shared, Anastasia wasn't there. Her phone went dark. By 11:38 p.m., a tracking app pinged her phone in a quiet area about 5.5 kilometers away, near Tagaki. Michal rushed there, desperate, but found nothing. Her phone was unresponsive. Anastasia had vanished. By the early hours of June 13, Michal went to the police. He explained everything: the texts, the motorbike, the phone's final location. This wasn't a case of someone running off after a night of drinking. Anastasia was responsible, grounded, and deeply committed to her boyfriend and family. Something was very wrong. Police took the report seriously. They launched a missing persons search with officers, volunteers, and even drones scanning the island. A public alert described Anastasia in detail: blonde hair, brown eyes, 1.65 meters tall, last seen in her pink floral dress. But as days passed, hope began to fade. On June 17th, 5 after her disappearance, a passerby discovered her phone. It had been discarded near an abandoned building. The SIM card was missing, deliberately removed. Investigators now believed this wasn't just a disappearance. This was foul play. Surveillance footage gave detectives their first major lead. A mini-market camera captured Anastasia leaving with a 32-year-old Bangladeshi man on June 12. They were seen walking toward a motorbike. The man was a seasonal farm worker, living near Marmari. Police questioned him almost immediately. Inside his modest home, they found strands of blonde hair, a yellow sweater with suspicious stains, and even a plane ticket to Italy, scheduled for the day after Anastasia vanished. He also had scratches on his face and hands. He claimed they were from farm work. Police weren't buying it. Worse, forensic analysis of his phone revealed chilling searches the night Anastasia disappeared. How to remove fingerprints from a body. It was clear. Anastasia hadn't just vanished. Something much darker had happened. On June 18th, after days of combing the island, volunteers searching the wetlands near Tagaki stumbled upon something horrifying. Hidden beneath a tree, covered with branches and wrapped in a plastic bag, lay Anastasia's body. Strangled. The autopsy revealed injuries consistent with a violent struggle. There were also signs of sexual assault. The paradise island of Kos had turned into the setting of an unspeakable crime. And now, police were convinced they knew who was responsible. By June 19th, police moved in and arrested their prime suspect, the same man last seen with Anastasia on CCTV. But what investigators uncovered in the following days painted an even darker, more disturbing picture than anyone imagined. By June 19th, 2023, the mystery of Anastasia's disappearance had become an international headline. Tourists on the island were shaken, locals were outraged, and her family in Poland was living a nightmare. Police had little doubt about their main suspect, the 32-year-old Bangladeshi farm worker identified in the media as Saluddin S. He had been the last person seen with Anastasia on CCTV, and the evidence piling up against him was damning. When detectives returned to question him, his stories kept changing. First, he claimed Anastasia came to his house to buy hashish. Then, he said she visited briefly but left unharmed. Later, he insisted she wandered off confused after smoking. None of his explanations matched the evidence. The blonde hairs found in his house, the stains on his clothing, the scratches on his skin, the plane ticket to Italy, all of it told a different story. And then there were his internet searches, made just hours after Anastasia was last seen alive. How to dispose of evidence. How to remove fingerprints from a body. Police had heard enough. Saluddin was placed under arrest, charged with abduction, rape, and intentional homicide. As investigators dug deeper, a disturbing timeline began to emerge. On the night of June 12th, CCTV showed Anastasia leaving with Saladin. She got on the back of his motorbike. That was the last time she was seen alive. Hours later, cameras caught Saladin returning home alone around 1 a.m. He was carrying garbage bags. Detectives believe these were used to dispose of Anastasia's belongings and possibly attempt to hide evidence. Forensic experts later confirmed vegetation on his clothes matched samples from the wetlands where Anastasia's body was found. The autopsy was even more chilling. Anastasia had been sexually assaulted and strangled. Her body bore bruises and abrasions, clear signs that she had fought back fiercely against her attacker. The case wasn't just about a man losing control. It looked like a calculated act, followed by a desperate attempt to cover it up. Police also questioned Saladin's Pakistani roommate, who lived in the same modest house. His initial statements were vague. He said he was asleep the night Anastasia disappeared. But phone records showed late-night activity that didn't align with his story. For a time, detectives considered whether he might have been involved. But in the end, there wasn't enough direct evidence linking him to the crime, and he was released without charges. That left Saladin to face the weight of justice alone. The discovery of Anastasia's body devastated both locals and tourists on the island. Kos was supposed to be a safe, welcoming destination. For many, the thought that a young woman could vanish from a party and be brutally murdered was unthinkable. Anastasia's family traveled to Greece during the investigation. Her brother Adrian spoke out, saying, "We want the truth, no matter how painful. She didn't deserve this." His words echoed the feelings of thousands of people following the case across Europe. For them, Anastasia wasn't just another statistic. She was a daughter, a sister, a partner, and a woman full of life and dreams. The case finally went to trial in late 2024 in a Greek court on Kos. By now, the story had gripped not just Greece and Poland, but audiences across the world. The prosecution laid out a devastating case. DNA evidence linking Anastasia to Saladin's home. Surveillance footage showing her leaving with him and him returning hours later alone. His suspicious internet searches and the plane ticket purchased to flee the island. The forensic evidence proving sexual assault and strangulation. Prosecutors argued that Saladin lured Anastasia under false pretenses, offering hashish, then took her to his home. From there, he drove her to a secluded area near the wetlands, where the crime unfolded. They described how he carefully tried to cover his tracks, removing her phone's SIM card, hiding her body in a plastic bag beneath branches, and preparing to escape Greece entirely. The defense, however, painted a very different picture. They argued that Anastasia's visit to Saladin's home had been consensual, linked to a drug deal. They claimed the evidence was circumstantial, the DNA was explainable, and the CCTV footage inconclusive. They even tried to suggest that someone else might have been responsible. But the weight of the evidence was too much. On December 6, 2024, the court delivered its decision. Saladin S. was found guilty of abduction, rape, and murder. He was sentenced to life in prison. Under Greek law, life doesn't always mean life. He may be eligible for parole after 18 years, but given the brutality of the crime and the international outrage, many believe he will spend far longer behind bars, if not the rest of his life. For Anastasia's family, the verdict was bittersweet. Justice had been served, but no court ruling could bring her back. Their vibrant, ambitious daughter and sister was gone forever. Anastasia Patricia Rubinska was a young woman full of life, dreams, and ambitions. She set out for adventure, but instead, she crossed paths with a predator who ended her story far too soon. If this case moved you, please take a moment to hit the like button. It helps us bring more awareness to stories like these. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss the next true crime story we uncover. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.